One second.
Just don't touch any of the grass.
Okay, ready.
Hey, legs. Baby central.
Ready to see glass blowing? Okay, so welcome. Hi, I'm Shelly. And I'm gonna show you glass blowing. This is my gallery. I do painting also. These paintings around the walls are watercolor paintings. And I'm gonna show you a whole glass piece being made. On the work table here, there are basic raw materials, meaning what I buy. I don't make glass, I make it into things. So I get it in different forms. First form is a tube. See, it's open there to the end. There's a handle and a blowpipe. So I'm going to blow through the open end. And there's also solid sticks of glass, different colors. The way of adding design to the piece. I'm going to show you that. And there's also broken glass. Have shards on the table here. So I use a little bit of all of these forms of glass.
That is the actual glass.
Hmm?
That is the actual glass.
I don't make the glass, I buy it, just like I don't make paint, I buy paint to make paintings, I don't make paint.
You don't need to.
Huh? There's a recipe that they heat up and it makes it so the basic raw materials, there's an element in sand called silica. That and other materials they heat up. Comes molten glass, cools off. It's, solidifies. So you're gonna see now, first stage happened, then it was made into the shape. And then I'm gonna heat it up and change the shape, put a design on it. A bunch of different techniques. So the first step is how to wash glass blowing. There's a big fire here. Sometimes people want to stare right at the fire, but we don't stare right at the fire. See my hands? That's where we watch. Okay, so you watch my hands. So even when it's really bright, you can see my hands, right? Not staring at the fire. So do your best to keep your eyes on the hands, and then you'll get the most out of it. So this is a very hot fire. The fire goes above 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And the glass goes to about 2,400 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's kind of like being in a science lab. You have to have good ventilation and do everything in a safe way, obviously. So that's the first thing I told you is watching the hands. And then when I heat up the glass, I have to do it correctly because if I heat it up too fast, it'll break. This is a warm-up flame. So the full flame goes, the hot flame goes to above 5,000 degrees Fahrenheit. And that's flame that I just used now is less hot. Now I'm adding in oxygen. So it's actually hot enough to melt the whole piece, bring it to above 5,000 degrees. If I started with a hotter flame, it would break. Why aren't my fingers getting hot? So glass is an insulator, not a conductor. That means right where the fire is hitting the glass, it's going to be very high temperatures, but the heat doesn't transfer much at all. So as long as it's long enough. That's why I make these long handles. And then I don't feel the heat on my hands. And it needs to be long enough. It's not like my hands could actually hold it. You'll notice I'm moving the glass pretty much all the time. I want to get it hot all the way around the tube. I'm spinning. See the glowing area there? It's already starting to heat up. So that's like liquid honey, like lava, glowing glass. It's part of why I'm spinning is so that it stays in place and doesn't collapse or fall down on the table. So I'm going to show you how to make the handle like I have in my right hand. So watch how I pull the glass where it's hot, changing the shape, stretching it out, little moments where you can make a big change. And then it also already goes back to a solid. So now I'm going to use the fire also to cut the glass. That handle is now solid, but it's still hot. I don't want to touch it yet. Now I have the next handle, but it's still closed on the end. I want it open on the end so I can blow through. So I'm going to open up and don't put hot glass in water like I just did. So that's just a step in the process of making, working with the glass. On purpose breaking the glass. Now that edge is very sharp. I'm just giving it a little touch of the flame, okay, to make it smooth. So now it's not sharp. I already did that on this one. I do it each step, each time. So now I'm going to show you how we design the glass. There are many techniques of adding colors. I'm going to show you a couple. The first one involves adding little dots. I mentioned I use broken glass I have here on the table. And I'll share with you just a little background. You know, where did I come from? How did I get here? How did I get into glass blowing? So I grew up in Denver. I had no dreams to come to Israel or to be an artist in Israel. Never heard of spot growing up. I grew up Jewish, but I didn't get much content beyond lox and bagels a little bit. And when I came to Israel, I saw, wow, there's so much going on here. It's really happening and very interesting. I have so much to learn. So I decided I wanted to come back. And ever since then, I keep having more good reasons to be here, to keep coming back. And at the same time, exactly, I got into art. So my interest in Israel and art started at the same time as gone through together the whole way. So the art is kind of like a documentary on the journey. And starting off with painting in college when I was at Princeton, and I tried every type of material that I could find there, working with metal, working with wood, photography, film. And somebody told me, you would love glass blowing. And I was like, what's glass blowing? This is back in the day where you couldn't just check easily on your personal phone, or even people didn't have personal computers in those days. Watch that glowing area. We saw already the glowing area can change by stretching it or changing the shape. Here I'm rolling, and I'll show you also on the screen, but you can also see straight. Now there's little dots of glass stuck to the glass. Those dots are broken pieces of glass, crushed glass. And this is a way of adding color. It's a different color, so it's going to add a layer. They're not really attached yet. I could knock them off, okay? But I actually want them, so I'm going to put it back in the fire, and the fire melts it. And it becomes one smooth piece of glass, but more than one layer, but it becomes one because of the heat. So what did we do back in the day before you could just check online everything and learn things without talking to people necessarily? We would talk to people and call them and go meet them. So I went and met these friends of friends who are glass blowers in Washington State, near Seattle. They had a setup like this, a torch, and they showed me how to melt and stick together the glass a little bit. It was amazing. It was fun. It was hard. I thought this is not something I could just pick up in 2 days. I had 2 days there and a ticket to Israel out of San Francisco, got on that plane thinking, well, that was amazing. I wonder if I'll ever get to try that again. And I came to Israel and I came open-ended. I've been here ever since. And you see now, those pieces we put on are melted in. Now it's one smooth piece, which also on the screen. Now they're not raised up dots. They're all smooth together, one piece with design. I'm going to show you another way of making design also. So I noticed when I came to Israel that there's so much to this tradition. People are always learning, and there's so much to learn and understand through the lens of the Torah, through our tradition. People told me, yes, Shevachaya, even though I was a really good student and went to Ivy League school and everything, I didn't know all the alphabet. I didn't know what any of the Sfarim were called or how they're organized or what they were about. but I knew I wanted to know. And I had to start at the beginning though, learning the Aleph Bay. And I understand the concepts, so I'd ask people, to help me find sources. People told me everything's in Torah. Anything you could ever imagine is in the Torah. And I said, great, so where is glass blowing in the Torah? So this is back in the day, before it was so easy to look things up, as I already mentioned. And hello. And so I started asking around, but this was before people could look something up so easily. You had to actually know what's safer, find this habit, know how to read it, know how to understand it. So many steps. And like I mentioned, I didn't know any of them. So I started showing people glass blowing here, like I'm showing you. And eventually it took a while. Some Shiva Bafrim came and they said, we want to help you. We're gonna look for sources for you. And they searched and found sources on glass, the old school way, using the concordance, I guess. And what they found really amazed me. It reminded me of what I'm showing you with glass blowing. So I'm going to share with you a couple of examples. It says in the Navi, it says in the prophecy of Jeremiah and Yirmiyahu, that we are like the material in the hands of the craftsman. In Hebrew, it's kapon b'yad. We're the material. Since we're the material, when we see a material being made into something, we could relate to the material. It's coming up like on Yom Kippur. How are we like clay in the hands of the potter? How are we like wood in the hands of the carpenter? How are we like glass? What do you think of when you think of glass? What is glass like? How do you describe it? Right. Who here has ever broken a glass? Everyone, right? We all break glass so easily because glass is very breakable. What else can you say about glass? What's it like? So what are we seeing now, for example? When you heat up glass, right? When you heat up glass, this whole other side of the story starts to come through. Because we just said, and we all know, glass is so breakable, right? And it is, it's true. And yet when it's hot, all of a sudden we're seeing something really different. Glass is stretchable and bendable. You can stick it together. You can pull it apart. You can blow into it and make all kinds of shapes. You can't break it. You can change it. So how could it be the most fragile material and unbreakable? It's both. Like we're seeing, the fire, right? So here's where it starts to get extra interesting. It says in the Panimia, deeper teachings of the Torah, that's just like us. We are we're the material in the hands of the craftsman. We also have these attributes of being both fragile and we go through so much, and also unbreakable when there's a fire. So what's our fire? Our fire is a symbolic fire. Show you what I've been drawing on there a little bit. Let's see. You just saw me doing it. These are like pens with sticks of glass, and the fire sticks it together. So in glass blowing, by the way, there's lots of very different types of things that you can see. And this drawing thing that I love to do, some people don't do it at all. And there's other techniques that people do that I don't do at all. There's a big range of what you can do with glass. So this happens, I happen to love to draw and paint, so I like to draw and paint glass on glass also. Any materials drawing and painting on, I like. So we are like this material. What's our fire? Back to the question, I'm not gonna let it go so quickly. Right? If it's a symbol that we have a fire that helps us go from being fragile to unbreakable, what is our fire? What does it symbolize? We just came out of Tisha B'Av. What do we learn on Tisha B'Av? Ahavat Chinam, yearning and praying for the Beit HaMikdash. And all kinds of things. Our soul is a symbol of the fire. The Torah is called Eish Torah. It's like the fire. A mitzvah, doing good, smiling at someone, thinking something good, all kinds of positive, connective type things. That's our fire. And with that fire, like the glass, we become unbreakable. So I'm just using this super thin stick. You see how it's getting shorter and shorter because I'm putting it onto the piece. And soon we're going to go towards the blowing. It's a good time if anyone has any questions. You guys are super quiet, but it's okay. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But if you want, you could ask me any questions you might have. I'll show you again an update on the drawing. I'm going to do it a little bit more, and then we're going to get to the blowing. I just have to keep it warm because all these connected pieces, they were really just separate, just the sticks, even just like the broken pieces. If I don't melt it in well, that's where the glass is going to want to break. So I need to keep it warm for now, and I need to melt it in enough for everything to turn out good. Just getting it warm so I can show you. Let's say it on the drawing. So there's the tree. I added more to it, and I did some more like leaves and grasses and stuff going on that theme. And so this could go on, and you could do layers and layers. So one of my favorite things to do that takes tons of time, so it's very unique when I get to do it, is to even draw a few layers of a picture. So the inside of the picture, once you make a piece, say it's a cup, you can look inside and see one thing, and look on the outside and see another thing. So we don't have time to do that, but maybe you could imagine. Okay, so now we're going to go towards the flowing. Every artist has their tools, machines, different ways of making the glass into something. The glass blower's main tool is their breath. Normally, we don't really think about breathing so much. There are moments in life where suddenly we notice the breath. Like, for example, when you were born, somebody noticed. The first breath that you breathe, that I breathe, that anyone breathes, someone is paying attention to that. Someone's amazed by that. And then after the breath, we go back to not noticing most of the time. There's little moments where we pay attention, like seeing glass blowing, also we notice. The first breath that we all breathe is reminding us of the beginning of our lives, the very first breath. And it's also connecting us to the very beginning of life. The very first person, what was his name? Adam, right? Adam Rishon. Adam in Hebrew is the same root word as Adamah, earth, dirt, good material, lots of potential, but nothing happened yet. And then it says this little puff of air is blown into Adam, right? In Hebrew, Hashem nafach b'apav nishmat chaim. How did he come to life? With the breath he was blown into. And it's interesting because we say, I was born. We say I had a birthday, right? It doesn't ever say Adam was born. It says he was blown into. So Chazal noticed this. So this is very unique situation. We need to look into this, like everything, and understand better what's going on here. The very beginning of life was with air being blown into Adam. So it actually says in the Midrash, the best way to think about this and contemplate it and understand it is to see glass blowing. So here we are, seeing glass blowing. I'm going to change the shape now. Air goes in, pushing out the glass, making the shape. Maybe you can tell by now what I'm making the mezuzah cover. And the different shapes just come with different movements. It's all variations on the theme. Now I need to draw the shin on there. So just like every breath, we start to think about it, it's pretty amazing because just like every breath that we breathe is so specific, right? When we breathe, it works. Enough air comes in, not too much air. It comes at the right moment, it goes out at the right moment. What happens if all these rules apply to the glass as well? What happens if we blow too hard on the glass? It's a bubble, it'll pop. And if you don't blow hard enough, nothing will happen. You have to get it just right. And every single breath is like that. So glass blowing, you can see the shin. See that? I'll show you in person in a second. It's hot now, so I've got to keep it going over here. So this glass goes to about 5,000 degrees. The fire is about 5,000 degrees, and the glass itself goes to about 2,400 degrees. So you know, like Fahrenheit. You guys know Fahrenheit, right? So when you cook in the kitchen, most normal temperature is around 350. So it's like almost 10 times as hot as a normal like oven heat. It's how hot the glass gets. The fire is double that.
More than that,
No. It just melted faster. Okay, so watch how I open it up. Here's the other side of the spectrum of making a shape. Watch what? On purpose, breaking the shape to cut the glass, right? Popping the bubble. So you don't want to do that unless you do want to do that, right? So I did it on purpose in order to take that handle off because I finished with it. Don't try this at home, boys. You have to get it super hot and do that very quickly. Any tool that touches the glass is cooling off the glass. So you need to do it really quickly, or it won't be hot enough to actually get cut. Okay, do a little lip wrap to put a color on the top. Still designing as we go a little bit. And I want to share with you one little thing. I realized I've doing this many times. We have a glass in our tradition, a very special life moment. We break a glass. Everybody knows, when do we break a glass? And the chasana, under the chuppah, you have the bride, the groom. We break a glass. Why are we breaking things when we're happy? Right, so we say in that moment, right? Remember the Beis Hamikdash. Why do we remember the Beis Hamikdash in that moment? Because we're so happy. We're so happy, we have to be careful not to forget that we still need to build it. The Beis Hamikdash needs to come for Hashem in the world. No matter how happy we are, our happiness can't be complete until Hashem has his house in this world. That's the whole thing. So we break a glass at that moment for like a little wake-up call. Remember, Hashem's house needs to be built in Yerushalayim, and also obviously hoping and praying for it to be rebuilt, and hoping and praying for the couple and their mikdash ma'at that they're going to build all over a glass that we break. I realize I make and break glass all the time. I can make a glass be broken, right? But the broken pieces are potential for something new. Like we already saw, you could connect them together. So I started to make a cup to be broken on the chuppah. The broken pieces are saved and sent back to me here. And just like we saw today, I take a new piece of glass, I heat it up, and roll it in the broken pieces. Some of them stick. And from that, I make a new piece, a gift for the couple, which has their broken cup melted into it, pieces of it melted into it. So there's a visual display that's at the entrance to the gallery. We see the cup, the broken piece of the gift. The gift has little spots on it, little dots, the same color as the original cup because they are that cup. Any questions? Questions? I'll show you a finished one in a minute. I use wine corks. Just since I've been here, I mean, it's already 20 years I've been doing this. For some reason, when I first started doing this, I thought, oh, wine corks is a nice way to close things. So as a cover, I've been doing it. I only use Israeli wine corks.
close it up with wax, or it's not?
with a cord, a line cord.
Is it not to be able to close it up with wax?
You could make a piece of glass. Yeah, sometimes people request all kinds of things. And sometimes I can agree.
You write on glass?
So yeah, I just wrote on glass with the shin and the design. That's what I was just doing. Glass on glass. So here, I'll show you up close. It's still hot, so don't reach out and grab it or anything. Okay, this is piece. So the broken piece is a little wood dots. Broken pieces, and I throw on the shin, little boots and grass, stuff. It's not burnt, it's just darker glass. Those are blue dots and darker. Like you can see through the light.
How good is it?
Well, my teacher, when people ask him that question, he says like his age. It's like a lifetime experience of like one thing building on the other, and so you can understand how to do what you're going to do this day. It's definitely always learning. But I started learning about 20 plus years ago, and I started learning in the middle of life, like when my kids were little, and I was still having more kids, Baruch Hashem, so it wasn't fast. It took me learning until I started learning glassblowing, and I came to Israel, everything got to a different pace. Learning was very fast for me until I came here, and the glassblowing took years. I had 3 little kids under the age of 5 when I started. It's not such an ideal time to start glassblowing. And then I had a couple more kids, Baruch Hashem. And so, you know, the first many years I knew however much I knew. I was already showing people and I was doing things, but I learned more and more. And then around the 10-year moment, I started to feel like, oh, I could think of what I want to make, not just, you know, do whatever I can. That kind of feeling. It's different. And now it's 20 years. I don't know how to describe this moment. This moment is, I have a few kids who do glassblowing. Yeah. Yeah. And the interest is growing as they are growing older. Now that they're like, you know, young adults, they're realizing that they want to learn. Some of them.
So you teach anyone too?
I teach, yeah. I also have students. I also have young students. I've had many students over the years. 20 years is a long time. I mean, probably not even 20 years old, but like in that period of time, I've had people come to Tzfat and to do glassblowing with me. Some of them moved to Tzfat and lived here for years, had kids here, got married. Like years of working together.
As a learner, machine.
It's not simple. Money-wise, I don't know, you'd have to look into it. I haven't looked into it in a long time, but it's the type of thing where
It's expensive.
yeah, glass is expensive. Do you guys have any questions?
I'm curious how you make the religion.
That's something you can look up, really just Google it, like, you know, how is glass made, and you can see a little video.
There are machines that do it right now, like the
there have been factories, yeah. This is a different thing. This is made by hand, it's art. I share with you about the Torah source is a whole different thing. This is spot glass. This is when people come and say, oh, is this the glass factory? So it's funny to me to call it a factory because, you know, it's not exactly that vibe.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you so much. So happy it worked out.
You might be able to
Yeah, it's okay. If you're sharing it anywhere, just give credit or tag or likes or whatever. If you're online or whatever on Instagram, it's Shevachaya. And
you made these people, these munchies?
those are the work of Johnny Toso, like it says there, the work of Johnny Toso. He's one of my teachers and mentors.
You ever tried